Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the World Championship Series Challenger. This is day 2 of our 3 days worth of festivities here for StarCraft. And today we find out who is going to be moving on to Premier and who will be eliminated. My name is Kyle Aris alongside Apollo as always. And before we get into things, let's take a look at how things are going to be shaping up today, as well as what we've already had gone on here in Challengers. We've had a lot of games already come to pass, with Team Liquid already doing very well, Sean.
Yep, Team Liquid have got 3 out of 3 through to play in the Premier League already that we saw happen on the 27th of April, just a couple of days ago on Monday. Also, we saw Lilbo go through, but we have available 10 extra slots to qualify for Premier League, 5 today and 5 tomorrow.
Yeah, a lot of Europeans going to be representing in Premier League, that is for sure. And obviously today we have a good list of games coming up. So let's take a little bit more of a narrower look at the games going to be coming up today with some extremely strong Premier players from Season 1 and also some really, really good upstarts here qualifying through to Challenger.
Right, coming and continuing from day 1 into day 2 here, we have awesome players. We have the 2 best non-Koreans from Season 1 in Bunny and Showtime going to be playing first and second today. We have 2 players who are making their complete debut in Alazer and Kung Fu Panda, their very first game in any official WCS match. They played in Challengers qualifiers, but this is the first time in Challenger and obviously haven't been in Premier League before. And then we have Naniwa, who's back for his second attempt in WCS for 2015. And a game that I'm looking forward to is game number 7, is the rematch from Challenger in Season 1, Mana versus Hero Marine.
Yeah, very interesting to see that Mana picked him to actually play once again. Obviously coming into Season 2, if you're unfamiliar with the system, our Premier players via seeds have picked who they actually play from players that have actually qualified through into Challenger. So shaking things up a little bit for sure. But now let's take a look at our first game of the day. It's going to be a Terran versus Terran. And it, of course, will be Bunny going up against Beastyqt. 2 Terrans from different eras of StarCraft 2, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Beastyqt was competing and doing very well quite a long time ago, but Bunny was around at that time, but never doing as well as he's doing right now. He is up there with Snoop. I mean, a lot of people in 2014 just said Snoop outright, but in 2015, he's toe-to-toe with Snoop being the best European player, and throughout the year is going to be challenging for number 1, and I know he is. We know how much WCS means to Bunny, and now it's time to show it in Season 2 after a fantastic Season 1 performance in top 4, almost beating Pult in the semi-finals. And then we have Beastyqt, a player who's returned. He's been away from StarCraft a couple of months, a couple of times. He returned back towards the end of last year, and I'm very surprised at his very fast rise back to near the top of the European scene.
Yeah, in 2012 and towards the start of 2013, Beastyqt was an extremely fearsome opponent in the European scene. He was one of the top Terrans. But 2014, extremely quiet. Really not much seen of Beastyqt. And as you said, that rise back has been so impressive by him to just say, well, at the flick of a switch, I'm going to get back up there.
Yeah, he played excellently in the qualifiers for Season 1, going through the Challenger, where he narrowly lost versus Wellmu 2-3. And we know how good Wellmu is. And then he took a couple of extra times to qualify. I think he qualified on the 3rd try for Season 2 here. But when he did qualify, he didn't even lose a single map. Very impressive play, and he managed to come through to where he is today. And now he goes up, unfortunately, against Bunny, who was the very first person in Challenger selection to be able to pick from all of the newly qualified players that made it into Challenger. Bunny said, okay, there are all the players. I choose you. And that was his first pick out of anybody, and he chose Beastyqt.
Yeah, and for Bunny, a lot of his very important and high-stakes matches in WCS have been in Terran versus Terran, even last season when we saw him going up against Paul at the very end there. But anyway, let's get into game number 1 in this best of 5. As we have now spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner of Coda. It will be our red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Bunny. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our blue Terran representing Team Extreme Supremacy. It is Beastyqt.
Who, in my opinion, deserves a position in Premier League. But he goes up against Bunny, and because of that, I don't know why, but because of who he is, he was chosen by Bunny here. Bunny is very comfortable in every matchup, but he outright called Beastyqt out and said, I want to play you in Challenger in this best of 5. And now, if he wants to get that spot, which I think he deserves, I think he's good enough to play in Premier League, but he has to beat the player who finished top 4 and almost defeated the champion in the semi-finals of Season 1. A very, very difficult task ahead of Beastyqt here.
Yeah, imagine if he had defeated Polt in there. It could have been an entirely different story. He could have, yeah, you're right. He could have entirely been the champion. We saw him dispatch of Snoot in that previous round. Who knows if he'd have been able to go up against Hydra? It could have easily gone his way going into that grand final because Bunny looked on form and on point. But now, here today, still probably the same old Bunny. Still probably just going to be flying out into Terran versus Terran. He looked really, really strong there against Polt in that final series in Season 1.
Absolutely, he did. And here we go into the first map between these two players. A must-win for both. You've got one chance, one opportunity here. And this is it for Beastyqt. Can he rise to the challenge and be able to defeat him?
Yeah. Going to be tough. Going to be very, very tough. As Bunny, for now, going to send over an SCV and have a little bit of a look around. And we have now this Reaper on the way here on both sides. So just kind of a standard opener, standard go-to, as they will try and just do some scouting where they can.
All right, well, a nice scout here from Bunny, and he goes in, and he has a quick look. And then back out, and we are going to have mirrored builds between the both of them. So, Reaper opening, but Bunny is the one to scout, so he knows what he's playing against. He can use this Reaper to his advantage, maybe catch his opponents.
Maybe. As he does obviously control that watchtower, so I would have been able to see it come over. But Beastyqt just going to sit back for now, wait for the opportunity to try and catch the other one. Neither player being very aggressive with these Reapers, knowing that this could be the easy potential. I mean, Bunny already did see this gas, obviously, so whereas Beasty's seen nothing.
Yeah, and Bunny's sitting back. He's built a second Reaper here, so looking to hopefully catch the single one. But both of them are built 2, and actually Beastyqt's building 3. So third one. Faster factory just by a little bit here for Bunny, as now the Reapers are going to start to make their moves very shortly. But it is 2 against 2. Got to be very careful here. You lose a lot of momentum if you lose a early Reaper fight, and neither of them know exactly where the Reapers are and how many they have. Beastyqt doesn't know anything at this moment.
Bunny obviously didn't really want to jump up there. Would have been 3 shots for the Reapers here for Beastyqt if Bunny had tried that. But that's already a pretty good exchange.
He's going to escape.
Almost getting it. We'll be able to run away and heal up for now.
Yeah, and now Bunny's like, oh, he's actually got a couple of Reapers here. But the thing is, Bunny stopped at 2, Beastyqt went to 3. There are only Reapers out on the map right now. Beastyqt has an advantage by building 3 blindly here. Bunny needs those Marines that were on the way out, or that Hellion.
Oh, Hannah's also able to cordon off those 2 Reapers, and if they tried to jump up there, they could have been actually shot at, but the Reapers are going to go straight and get themselves an SCV. Nice start here for Beastyqt. A second one goes down as well. SCV come offline, and those 2 Marines actually make the difference. Able to kill off one of the Reapers.
3 SCVs, though. 3 SCVs gone down, and a Reaper. Great pick off there from Beastyqt. And so far, he is rising to the challenge. A fantastic start here for him. He didn't really know what he was doing, or what he was going up against, should I say, but he built 3 Reapers. It's worked wonderfully against Bunny's opening, who only went for 2, and he made it work.
So if you've been able to see many of Beastyqt's games since he's kind of come back and risen more to prominence?
Yeah, he's playing just like every other Terran, but he's playing better than a lot of the other Terrans that aren't doing as well as him. Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult to say because everyone plays very similar, but as you can see, he's working out well. Yeah,
I mean, in his hiatus, it's not as if he really wasn't still practicing. Not much as much as other players, for example, but he was still keeping his macro and mechanics up based on like some user games that he was playing, etc., and things like that. So he certainly didn't really fall off, and he is showing in the start of this game that he is very, very powerful still.
Reaper gets in a scout and sees the engineering bay on the way, and there's already Banshees coming out here from Bunny, which Beastyqt did start to wonder more than likely is going to happen, as he did poke and see this infrastructure.
Well, at least for now, Bunny is locked down. He has his bunker in position at the front. He had a few units up there just in case the Reapers would want to jump up again, but Beastyqt is not going to poke any further on for now. Widow Mine's in production for him and a ton of missile turrets, so he's really making sure he's going to be completely on lockdown against this.
Well, only a single unit in that bunker. He runs right past.
Not exactly the most useful. Going to lose a few SCVs here himself once again. And 29 to 32 workers at the moment. So those kills have been able to add up, but he still needs to escape with these units. He's actually doing a little bit more and trying to get a few more kills at himself around the back.
He's willing to sacrifice his units to get a couple of SCV kills, and he got an additional 4 and a 5th.
Wow. This is really great harass. It's very rare you see Reapers and just 2 Hellions alone actually getting this many kills, but they are doing the business.
Yeah, he got a lot of damage done here, and he's going to grab... Oh, he didn't grab one more SCV there, so a total of 6, but he lost a lot of units, and Bunny didn't really lose any apart from SCV, so he's got to be a little bit careful that he doesn't lose to a counterattack, which could spring via Tank, Banshee, and Marine. But he's got to win a mine in position. He has a factory with a tech lab on it, so he can build tanks of his own, but he's got a lot of crucial upgrades on the way. Stim, +1 attack, combat shields, everything that Bunny doesn't.
Yeah.
This is lining up, very nicely for Beastyqt.
Yeah, the engineering bay here for Bunny is quite lacking behind in terms of the time it's going to be up. So now these Banshees are going to fly on in. Hasn't really seen too much just yet. Pokes forwards, and actually didn't even see that missile turret before trying to go around in another direction.
It's just a wonderful start here from Beastyqt from the very get-go.
Well, Banshee's going to try and fly in at a different angle here and see what it can get done. I think it may be the Viking presence that actually pushed it on back.
Second Banshee at the back, but
Vikings.
2 SCV kills. But good defense so far, not taking any really critical damage. And remember, with all this infrastructure in place and upgrades on the way for Beastyqt, he's quite far ahead in this game. So when all those complete, unless Bunny is on complete lockdown on 2 bases, he could take a lot of damage when Beastyqt is finally ready to release the beast.
Yeah, it's a really great start for him. A really, really good start. Didn't take too much damage from the Banshees. The Viking positioning alone with these missile turrets was very, very powerful to say, and actually, no, you have no room whatsoever. Sometimes, if there's only the missile turret, then yeah, you can try and sneak in a few kills here and there, but obviously, Beastyqt was so well developed back at home that he had all the defense available.
And Beastyqt knows the position he's in. He's in a very good position. He's building up an army very fast, and he's gone to a total of 5 barracks. His 4th and 5th is on the way. Bunny's only just now been added on. There is a clear window where Beastyqt, when all upgrades are complete, could almost just win the game outright if he finds the right drop, and it could be just through a Doom drop here.
Yeah.
Drops tanks around, he's going to have Stim, combat shields, +1 attack.
That being said, though, for some Doom Drop to go down, Bunny is really, really well locked down in his main base as well. So actually, fully enough, might be a straight towards the natural.
Yeah, he sees there's not too much on the natural here, but he's just got to choose the right position. We do have 2 Banshees from Bunny on the other side of the map. Going to potentially do some counter, but a Viking and turret in position, hard to do.
A little bit difficult. He has cloaked those up, so maybe trying to find a few kills here and there. Drops the scan, sees the 2 tanks in position, and he's going to go straight on up here. This is quite ambitious, trying to send and private his Marines up to negate the splash damage as much as possible, and will grab himself 2 tanks, but he lost all his Marines for that exchange.
And he's got to be very careful not to lose everything else too. That was very ambitious. He knew that he could strike through, and he has this great opportunity, but attacking into 2 tanks, and even Marines without Stim, probably not the best idea there. He didn't get the most amount of damage done that he needed to do. And that hurt him. And now that's going to allow the time for Bunny to be able to get that Stim upgrade, to get that +1 attack, and start to get back into the game himself. Beastyqt had a clear advantage. Unfortunately, it slipped away.
Now there's even going to be siege tanks once again setting up here for Bunny, realizing that there's the potential of another attack hitting from that kind of direction. So well set up by him, and also even a sensor tower up there. But it might be a little bit late. This is a big drop coming along.
Well, there's 2 tanks and Stim done with a lot of Marines here. I think it's going to be hard to pull off for Beastyqt.
Yeah, those Marines just coming in at exactly the right time. Even when he sieges up, by the time he sieges up, the Marines are already on top of this, and he's going to lose a lot for it.
He loses a lot. And again, just look at the units lost damage. Well, it's not actually that bad, actually, for Beastyqt.
No, not too bad.
It is still behind, but he's lost that advantage he had.
Goes for the drop on the natural, potentially. No, actually just going to boost on out, realizing that that tank would have been able to clean it up.
There's nowhere he can go and fight.
And even this drop should be cleaned up pretty easily by the Marines and Siege Tank eventually, but getting a tank would be very nice for these Marines. Very, very close, and does get it. That's all right.
Well, army supply very similar between the 2 of them, and they've started to, well, not started, but Bunny very close to having everything that Beastyqt has. But now we have 3rd command center on the way for both. Bunny's almost done, but 2-2 starting again. So Beastyqt is okay. He hasn't completely lost everything, even though he's a little bit behind the supply. What he's got to hold on to is the fact that he started these 2-2 upgrades and had that second engineering bay and the armory. His 3rd base sure is a little bit late, But if he plans an attack of very similar army size with a 2-2 opportunity when those upgrades complete and then tries again, that may be his opportunity to get back into this properly.
Yeah. Dropped the scan, and he saw that second engineering bay whirring away after spotting the first one previously, so he does know he's got a little bit of catching up to do in regards to those upgrades, does Bunny now, as the scan goes down from Beastyqt, looking for the Doom drops and seeing all this defense in place here for Bunny.
Yeah.
So very easy to kind of cordon off and make sure it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Center tower's great with the heavy aggression that we're seeing out from Beastyqt. Bunny's able to cover that right flank. But he's got to be careful not to lose his third. The drop has been spotted by that single Marine. That's why you have a single Marine out there like that. Gives a heads up.
Yeah.
Even a planetary fortress to assist.
Looking for the tank on the low ground. Nice snipe out there just before he loses a few more of those Marines, but it was very worth it. Does not want his opponent getting in this position.
+2 attack now done for Beastyqt. +3 attack started immediately, notice. Really, he's got an advantage with the upgrades. We're going to try and push that in this game.
Scans absolutely everywhere just for Bunny to try and spot where his opponent is. Realizes his opponent's army is kind of small here in comparison and actually hits before the +2 armor kicks in. Of course, Beastyqt has +2 weapons, but there's enough tanks behind all of this as with the Marines to push this away.
Yeah. That's a good deflection there from Bunny. And unfortunately, that was almost the entire of Beastyqt's army. So there's no longer any pushes that can come out from him until he rebuilds. That's all he has inside his main base as of yet, and Bunny has more. Bunny on the movement out. He knows he just killed off more than his opponent had. He has a lot of tanks left over. He knows his opponent's about to take his third base, so it's now Beastyqt who's gone from being in the lead and making the decisive moves to being on the back foot and having to defend and react. He's got a lot of units on the third. There is a sensor tower and some units left in the main base, but is there enough to stop this?
That is quite the big drop in, and all these units are out of position. He needs to pick up and get over there himself, actually. He's going to try and counteract that by doing such a move, but here come the tanks. They're actually sieged up themselves. He's not going to siege up his tanks. He's just going to drop them straight across this. I really cannot see exactly how this engagement is going because of all the medevacs covering up. I think Beastyqt will clean up.
Yeah. Solid hold. Solid hold. That could have been nasty, but the boost of his own and his reaction time was pretty fast.
I think he got a lot of the medevacs as well there, actually. He got a huge amount of them. 10 medevacs still remain here compared to the 2, and they're quite costly here in Terran versus Terran, especially when you don't have the gases on your third base at the moment.
Yeah, that drop didn't work out too well for Bunny. Yeah, nice hold.
Well, for now, Beastyqt just trawling around with his entire army in these medevacs, continuing to keep them around, and had to kill off his own reactor because, unfortunately, the siege tanks actually couldn't get out from where they were stuck.
Big advantage still, though, for Beastyqt when it comes to his upgrades. Those 3-3 upgrades. +3 attack almost done. And we also have the +2 attack on his tanks on the way, whereas we don't even have anything for Bunny yet when it comes to helping out his tanks.
Yeah, and Beastyqt at the moment is showing a really, really good game. He's killed off a few workers himself. Those Banshees likewise, trying to even up those numbers. It is 50 to 51 workers at the moment, so the income's reasonably similar, of course, with mules kind of counteracting each other from time to time.
Yeah, and just to remind you guys as well, Beastyqt, for the last 5 seasons, hasn't played in WCS at all, hasn't even qualified for Challenger. He's been completely inactive. He played Season 1 in Challenger of 2013 and Season 2 of 2013 and made it to the round of 32, but was eliminated again really fast. And here he is, competing with one of the best we have in Europe, and he's really putting on a good game.
Yeah, definitely. He really brought the fight to him very early on, and now, I mean, you can see his adaptation to this pure Doom Drop style that you see a lot of in Terran versus Terran. He's keeping his entire army in medevacs, looking for opportunities where he can. Bunny's not giving him many, but he is still finding these little weaknesses. I mean,
well, this is a pretty good position if these tanks don't get sniped straight away.
Definitely. And going up against this will be difficult. +3 weapons is finished here for the Marines. That being said, there's not that many of them here for Beastyqt. That means the Marines here with Liquid Bunny can actually close the distance, will kill off these tanks pretty fast, and force the retreat out from Beastyqt again.
Pretty good position from Beastyqt, but just not enough numbers. He wasn't able to hold that position. He dealt a lot of damage to the planetary fortress, but not to the army. And he ended up losing all those tanks. If he had a couple more Marines, he maybe could have held that position. And if he holds that position, that is almost a game-winning position with a chokehold on that third base.
I think Liquid Bunny is looking for blood here as his army currently dwarfs his opponents, but he has to be careful about walking up high grounds, sees it with the watchtower, and can slowly siege forwards.
Even if you have a bigger army, you can't really directly attack into tanks like this, especially filtering up that ramp could be quite deadly. He has 30 odd marines more, which is pretty good.
Oh, gonna just walk straight up here by the looks of it. Sacrifices one tank for that, but he thinks that his marine count is good enough to be able to break this position, and it looks like it is. That is a huge army powering on forwards here for Bunny, and Beastyqt has no answer. GG, game number 1 goes to Bunny, despite a very good and promising showing there from Beastyqt in game 1.
Yeah, he had a great advantage in the start of the game where he had those 3 Reapers. He carried the advantage through, but wasn't able to deliver a blow that could win in the game. And Bunny, very smartly, was able to defend, and be very resilient with giving up, and was able to slowly crawl back in to where he was playing the defender, to then playing the aggressor, to then looking to finish off the game. That was excellent.
Yeah, really, really well done there. It takes a good level of patience as well from Bunny to just sit back and kind of bear all of that weight against you from Beastyqt, constantly trying to find those holes and weaknesses, but spread out Marines, being able to keep an eye on things, and Sensor Tower, very, very good tools. Yeah,
I spoke with Bunny actually after his loss against Polt in Season 1 in the semi-finals, and one thing he told me was that he was in a lead almost every single game and just couldn't kill Polt. Like, Polt was so good at defending and finding his way back in there. And I think he, having spoke to him again, that he took that really... He took the loss hard, but he also learned a lot from it, knowing that even though you can be behind in a game, if you put your foot down and defend well and find ways back in through Banshees, through drops, through better maneuvers with your army, you can get back into the game. I think he displayed an excellent showing of that just now.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That was very, very good by him. Because there are moments at the very beginning of that game when you're like, whoa, Beastyqt, all right, you're really putting on a lot of pressure here and doing really well with it.
Yeah.
So there's a potential that you could crumble, but seemingly not. Seemingly Bunny has gained even more quality there, and game number 1 goes to him. Game number 2 is going to be on Vanny Research Station. What do you make of this map here?
Probably similar stuff again. One thing you have to keep in consideration is all about the Doom drops, which we saw in that last one. It's going to happen again on this map, no doubt. But Terran versus Terran is, I think, very, very fun to watch. But a lot less fun to play because one Doom drop can end the game instantly if you're able to make it successful. But both players were very good at deflecting that. We saw Bunny defending that happen to him, and then we saw Beastyqt defending that happening to him. But it was really fun, that first map. I really enjoyed it, and I think we're going to see something very similar coming into game number 2.
Yeah, the way in which Beastyqt was moving his army around in the mid-game really kind of shows you a good chunk of his style, right? He is going to be that mobile guy. He is going to be trying to just threaten everywhere he can find it. So, but if Bunny's on lockdown, where do you find the damage?
Yeah, that's the thing. In Terran vs. Terran, it has always been about, if you get into position with that army, it's very difficult to stop, if not impossible. If tanks siege up in the right locations, you have equal amounts of Marines to support them, you can just outright win the game. So, which is why Doom drops are so good. If you can plant that almost unstoppable army in a certain location, it's going to win. And that's why we see a lot of Marines spread across the map, SCVs, supply depots, anything spread around the map to always know where your opponent's army is. That is probably the most important part of Terran versus Terran in the mid-game, knowing where the army is, because if that sieges up on a 3rd base, a 4th base, your 2nd base, Doom drops into your original base, the game can just end.
Yeah, it can. All right, so now the countdown has begun for game number 2. We are loading up onto Vanny Research Station to figure out if Bunny's going to go 2 up or if Beastyqt can tie up the series. And at the moment, you know, Beastyqt definitely could tie up the series. With the kind of potential that he showed there in that game, there is good room for it. So let's jump in as we have game number 2 with Mr. Bunny down in the bottom as our red Terran. Now up to the top, we have Beastyqt, representing Team Extreme Supremacy, and they have a very, very cool logo. I do like that panther or whatever it is there. Up to the top as our blue Terran.
It's like, what was the old TV series called?
Are you about to say Thundercats?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Thundercats, when I saw that logo.
I'm okay with that. Thundercats was cool. Alrighty. So let's figure out what Bunny's going to get up to here, as well as Beastyqt. I don't see them deviating from what they did before.
No, not really. I mean, the thing is they both open up Reaper, and Reaper's pretty good on this map as well, just because of the amount of surface area that Reapers can jump up and down on. inside this base. Whenever you play Terran, it's a good opener against any race, and whenever you play against Terran, it's also pretty good. We are going to see Beastyqt open up gas first, though. So with the gas first, he's going to be looking towards that faster factory. And then it can be anything. Mines, Hellions, Marines, could go all the way up to Banshees. Could even go for like a 1-1-1-1-1-1-1 push, which is like tank, Marine, Viking push, Banshee push. Could be building up a Raven very early on. So lots of different angles for him to take. Whereas Beastyqt is so far looking towards that Reaper expansion, which is quite common and quite popular.
Which would be very, very nice here for him. Obviously, you can poke around a little bit, get good eyes on what your opponent's doing, try and scout out how much gas they've got coming in as well, which is all important at the start here in Terran versus Terran because of all of the things you alluded to. I mean, especially that kind of very aggressive push that is that kind of 1-1-1 thing. Even with Ravens incorporated into that early on, and then you're able to kind of control the sky. Auto point defense drones are very, very important.
Yep, and Bunny's going to know what he's playing against very early on here. He's got the SCV scout, and this is something which Terran players sometimes do, sometimes don't do, is send the SCV while going Reaper expansion. It hurts your economy, obviously, because you're sending out a Reaper to scout, but you're sending an SCV to scout earlier for you, but it's a much safer approach. If Bunny had a single Reaper going over the other side of the map, and his opponent had 2 barracks, for example, 2 Reapers being built, his Reaper jumps in, gets shot down by 2 Reapers, and then all of a sudden it's 4 versus 1 because one guy's building from 2 barracks, the other from 1, and it gets really bad. So scouting with an SCV very early on, much safer, does hurt your economy, but the better choice when you think you're the better player.
Well, for now, this Marine is going to try and position itself to greet any kind of Reaper that is going to come along. Second one is here as well. So Reaper has to be careful about jumping up there. Oh, but he repositions the Marines just at the wrong time. Once that Reaper does get a good scout in once again and sees the... I guess a Reaper SCV, but does die off for those troubles.
Yeah, I guess he got the scout. It would have been nicer, I think. As cool as it is to get an SCV, I think he would have preferred to keep it alive. It's always nice to go in again with that Reaper to see exactly what you're playing against. He did see that the factory wasn't building a tech lab at that point in time, but easily he could cancel the Hellion and add a tech lab and place Banshees.
Yep.
So you really aren't sure what exactly you're playing against, and it is nice to know, instead of a single SCV kill. So right now, Bunny has to kind of prepare for anything. He can just assume that Beastyqt is going along the same way that he already had set up and moving, with the Hellion, Marine, or Mine, whatever he's building, with a drop. And then he's got to make sure he has units out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Best units are Hellions. Yep. With a couple of Marine support, maybe a Starport for a Viking too, and straight shoot down the medevac, but overall, it's a good setup. Mech is very popular on this map. When you open up Hellions like the way that Bunny is, it is smooth to transition into mech.
Those Hellions will be piling out pretty soon here with the Starport on the way as well. So for now, Beastyqt is really kind of just defending that ridge once again, just in case there were any more Reapers along the way, because he doesn't have a clue what is going on the other side.
Nope. But he doesn't, he's going for this. So Beastyqt, definitely behind in this game right now. 2 SCVs behind, a missing command center until just this second. So he has to deal damage with this.
Yeah.
If Bunny defends this excellently, Bunny automatically just goes super far ahead in the game and could be looking at a 2-0 already.
Definitely. This medevac now, just going to head on in. The other...
turret too slow.
Yeah. At least he spots it being dropped in there, because that could have been all sorts of trouble.
Well, here we go. I think we're going to see some SCV losses here. That turret would have been perfect if it had finished.
Well, still a lot of trouble with these now moving on through. One of the Hellions is actually stuck at the back. It would have been nice to have that at the front here for Beastyqt, but they will reposition themselves. Just a few Marines are sprinkling, not that many, as the SCVs have to come off the line to fight, and that's actually quite a big loss already. 4 going down. He needed to get some kills, though, to even things up.
Well, 2 more Hellions are about to pop, and they pop right behind those Marines. But he's lost a lot. 4 SCVs, a lot of lack of mining time.
Yeah, the lack of mining time is a big deal. It's sometimes often overlooked, but for now, at least he's keeping track of this medevac and will be able to push it away.
If that turret had finished, he wouldn't have been able to plant the medevac there to unload the units and then pick up the Hellions and continue on. That's why that turret is so important. Now we see a 4 SCV difference in favor of Beastyqt. But because the command center is not in position and not an orbital command, we will see Bunny climb back up a little bit. But it's the other things, like the additional 2 barracks already on the way for Beastyqt.
Yeah.
But Bunny does have a counter drop himself, ready to go. And if this catches a couple SCVs, then he could maybe go in the lead again.
Beasty has a few Marines positioned here and there, and actually it looks like these are just going to head up towards potentially even another drop. But at least he's spreading himself out well just to greet anything that would come along. That being said, 4 Hellions can do quite a bit.
Yes, they can.
And they are already going to go to work on some of these SCVs. Those Marines stand no chance, has to probably pick those up and get them out of there. Otherwise he would be in trouble, and SCVs even get evacuated out. And all those Marines were nicely lined up, and he repositions his Hellions to accommodate for that, but not quickly enough, as he does lose 2 of them.
Good defense, but also Bunny's delaying all those SCVs from mining and just kind of being a nuisance to Beastyqt. And as you can see, now, even though it was about 6 SCVs behind for a little bit there for Bunny, with the orbital command, he's actually an SCV ahead after all of that.
Yeah, and he almost, it's almost as if he just wanted to go here. He's losing a few workers up to the top left, which he wasn't really dealing with.
Well, Beastyqt is going on the other side of the map with everything he's got. And right now, Bunny does not have too much. He has a Banshee being built, so that could be useful, but Cloak is not ready. And to go for a Banshee instead of tanks is dangerous. Depending on how many Marines are in this, there's about 5 Marines.
Especially when you're going to have to face off against double tank here. But if they get set up and good to go in the right position, this Viking does spot this coming across. So yes, it'll put a good timer on these medevacs, but the siege tanks, they're going to be able to plant themselves quite quickly.
Uh-oh, those tanks are going to deal so much damage.
There was a little misclick there, but he actually attacks his own command center before he got in position, and he will kill off 8 workers already, trying to get a few more of the units behind all of that. One of the medevacs already fell. Second one will end up going down to that Viking as 2. Oh, actually able to boost out, so get it away.
What a crazy game between these two. 10 SCVs were killed off there, which puts Beastyqt back in the lead by a little bit. But these two going neck and neck here, just so aggressive, the both of them. Very, very cool series so far. Very aggressive, very cool, very fun. But right now we do have, again, Stim faster for Beastyqt. +1 attack faster for Beastyqt. Combat shields on the way for Beastyqt.
And he just barely scratched against this positioning of the Banshee that was heading across here. So going to kill off a few SCVs once again. Really neck and neck, as you say. And, you know, you were mentioning before that you feel that Beastyqt deserves a position in Premier. Looking at these games, yeah, I would say so, but he's still got such a mountain to climb in Bunny, who seems to also find the kills and even things up.
Well, Bunny's just a beast.
Yeah. Well done.
But Bunny has now gone in the lead again. It's really back and forth with the SCV count difference between them. And they're both on 2 command centers. There's a third on the way, but there's another Banshee coming in for Bunny. So even though he's got a lot of these upgrades late, if he pulls his opponent's economy back down again, he finds himself in the lead.
He's doing really well with it, and now it's 35 workers against 41, and that doesn't really account for the fact that no gases have still been taken on the natural here for Beastyqt, whereas they have been for a while here for Bunny, whose economy in terms of the gas is going to be really, really strong. So he could have a strong army out to greet this. He doesn't have as... okay, so he's just got a 3rd tank now as well, so he should be okay against this aggression.
Yeah, he should be. It's quite a lot of units, though. It's what can you do? Siege up outside the 3rd, I guess? I mean, you siege out outside the main base. I mean...
It's going to be really slow.
What are you exactly looking to achieve there?
Yeah, I guess slow down the 3rd whilst you take yours and keep your opponent pinned back. But the thing is that generally you won't keep Bunny pinned back. Yeah. Generally he will send at least 1 medevac's worth of Marines around the back.
Bunny doesn't have Stim for another 15 seconds here. His tanks are going to be sieged up in good position. The scan from Beastyqt tells him what's there.
Yep, and does send a few of these Marines forwards once again to actually fully check what is going on. Where is the 3rd siege tank? It's still in the main base, and he is going to retreat back, realizing that it's going to be a bit too hard to break. And also, you know, we mention it in Zerg vs. Zerg a lot, but reinforcement point is a big deal here in this matchup too.
4th and 5th barracks faster here for Bunny. They both have 3 command centers, so it's actually 5 barracks versus 3 right now, which is a pretty good advantage for Bunny, having that extra set of production facilities. That's really nice for Bunny.
Yeah, he also spots this 3rd landing where it can, and now that might prompt him, once his orbital command is morphed in, to just go for his own as well.
Yeah, he'll move over and take that now. But the units between them, very close in SCVs. We have Bunny with a 10-ish Marine advantage.
Kills himself off that Banshee, so relieves the thorn in his side.
He might try to siege somewhere here that could be like underneath the main base, but Beastyqt is well aware of where this army is and what could this mean.
I'm just going to catch a few stray Marines here and there.
Yeah. I think a Doom drop to the back is an opportunity here for Bunny.
Yeah.
He's got full map control, he's got a decent amount of units, 3 tanks as well, not quite enough medivacs. The next couple that come out, even though there's a sensor tower, you drop on the sensor tower, and then you've got that ramp that filters down from the main base. Very hard for Beastyqt to deal with, and if there's a bunch of Marines there, you can't exactly drop on it either.
Completely agree. I mean, Sensor Tower, yeah, it's all good and dandy that you've got it there, and it does give you a bit of a heads up, but boosted medevacs are just so fast anyway that if you're out of position, especially on a map like this with the 3 bases as spread as they are, it's really difficult to react with these
Beastyqt has no idea what's going on. He's looking around with Marines, he's got his army in between the different bases. He's like, is he going to my back? Is he at my front? He's no idea right now. He's very, very nervous because, like I said, a Doom drop could end the game instantly if you can't clear it up. And Bunny off 5 barracks compared to his opponent, who is only just finishing up with the extra barracks. He's got a massive supply lead. He's got a massive army lead, 30 supply army lead. Having those extra barracks earlier.
Yeah. And if he hits in this window before 2-2 actually finishes for Beastyqt, then he's going to be absolutely flying.
Well,
that's the one advantage Beastyqt has, but it doesn't kick him for another 2 minutes or so.
Beastyqt's just wondering what the hell's going on.
Drops his scan over here, just trying to spot
know.
anything.
He's trying to look. He doesn't know where this army is. He's now going to see it. His army is on the 3rd. It's coming back to the main base, but his 3rd's now is exposed. If Bunny stims around here, he stims, he gets hit by a tank shot, but he's looking to get position on this 3rd.
Oh, and
2 tanks defending.
Yeah, they were really well positioned, and good foresight to actually leave just a little bit of defense there in case his opponent were to run in.
And he stimmed a lot here. He's lost quite a few Marines.
Oh, loses a medevac. It's interesting that neither of them's really vying for any kind of air dominance with heightened Viking production.
No, they both know that any moment a fight could just happen, and the Vikings aren't going to help in a direct fight.
Yeah. That's really how tight Terran versus Terran has come, apparently. It's these small things. If you go for that kind of Viking numbers and you overcommit, then what are you supposed to do with it?
Yeah, you just lose the fight, lose the game. Well, 2-2 on the way here for Beastyqt, whereas Bunny currently only working on just that +2 attack upgrade. So he slipped up a little bit with his upgrades. And this is interesting because they're both going to butt heads in the middle. Tanks are sieged up though already for Bunny. Beastyqt had to be very careful.
Just flies forwards here with 1 medevac to keep an eye on his opponent, meaning he doesn't have to scan, which is very, very useful here. Opportunity cost.
I think we might see a fight in a second. Well, maybe not. There's a lot of tanks here for Bunny.
If Bunny's going to go, he has to go soon, because 2-2 is about to finish up for these Marines. Unit count, obviously...
I think the army's just much better for Bunny.
Yeah.
It's like 30 supply advantage. Here comes the lift up.
And that's a perfect time to try and do it.
There's only 5 Marines there and a tank.
I don't think that's going to be enough at all.
Well, it's not enough.
He's trying to stim back, knows that this could be a potential as these siege tanks now, not even sieging up and just doing quite a bit of damage themselves. There is an entire other army on the other side here for Bunny that isn't being utilized, but the siege tanks are getting so much value over here for Bunny.
It's game. He planted the drop.
Very nicely done.
He planted the bomb, Coloris, and it couldn't get defused.
And Sensor Tower's not going to be able to deal with that anytime soon.
And now the 3rd, as Bunny has got Beastyqt's entire army back to defend this. And he says, is that everything? Yes, it is.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. GG. Bunny will take game at number 2. And it comes back to exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, you can have a sensor tower there, but if you don't spot it, and if you're drawn that far out of position without your opponent knowing where you're moving next, you're done.
You got to keep up with production there too. I mean, he fell behind on his 4th and 5th barracks. And he just didn't have as many units as Bunny. Even though they were neck and neck when it came to economy, you just didn't have enough units. And he was always a defender because of that. He couldn't be the aggressor. And then Bunny waited patiently, looked for the right opportunity to strike, found it, and he went poof, and he killed him.
2-2 was even in the end for Beastyqt, but it didn't make a difference because when you've got 73 Marines against 50 Marines, that's not really going to help out too much. And the siege tanks, as you mentioned already, at the natural, planted and good to go before any Marines got even there. Yeah,
and this just really displays why Bunny is so feared in the European scene right now. He's so very, very good at StarCraft and at Terran, and he's displaying it right now because Beastyqt is having a good effort at Bunny, but he just can't break him. And it's now 2-0 in favor of our top 4 finisher of Season 1 as Beastyqt comes back into WCS, and, well, let's hope he can do well.
Let's hope so. But now we go on to Expedition Lost here for game number 3 between Beastyqt and Bunny. And at the moment, Liquid's looking to be 4 for 5 very soon. Obviously, with our 5th member going to be trying to contend later on. But if they all advance, out of the 8 series we'd had so far, 5 of them would have been Team Liquid. That's pretty much unprecedented.
Yeah, it's looking at a 4-5 right now for sure. And depending on how Mana does later, it could be 5 out of 5. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. All right, countdown has begun for game number 3. Liquid's Bunny leads 2-0 at the moment. Beastyqt, as much as you said, he is giving it a very good go. This could potentially be a heartbreaker for him going up against one of the toughest players in the tournament.
Yeah, it's the advantage of being top 4 last season. You get to pick first out of anybody you want to play, and unfortunately, that was Beastyqt.
All right, well, let's get into it then, as that score is wrong. There we go, perfect. So spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, it is our red Terran. It is Liquid Bunny, up 2-0 at the moment, against the man up to the top right, who is our blue Terran. It is Beastyqt for Team Extreme Supremacy.
Okay, so this is, especially the way that the games have gone down, Beastyqt's just sitting there at home in Serbia saying, how do I beat this guy?
Yeah.
How do I do it?
Very difficult. Very, very difficult. You know, I'd be curious to know their win-loss against each other on ladder as well, actually, because the way in which Beastyqt is playing is really, really good, and I could see him taking games off Bunny, but somehow, some way, Bunny just keeps getting these leads. And wait a minute, where are you going, SCV? Uh-oh.
We have the way,
this is
apparently,
the way.
to beat this guy.
Yep, he was theorizing, sat in his pajamas at home, trying to vanquish Bunny here, and now it looks like we are going to have a bit of a proxy with, I assume it's going to be gas for the Reapers.
Yep. So, let's have a look at Bunny's build. It is gas first, right?
Seems so.
Gas first means he's going to have a Marine out a little bit later than normal because gas was built first, but he is sending an SCV. But every time he sends an SCV for a scout, it's just directly to his opponent's base and doesn't look around. He is now, though.
Yeah.
He is now.
I wonder if he actually goes right, because at the moment, I think he's going to go up to the 3rd check and then probably go across the map, and that's it. So, yeah.
Nope. Nope. A little bit too far back to check.
His spider senses were tingling, Sean, but not enough.
He's still looking around.
Oh, wait a minute. Where is he going?
He's gone back now. He's seen nothing.
Yeah.
He's looked all around close positions. And now, a Marine shall be built, but it is
Marauders.
late. Oh, he's got Marauders.
Yeah, this is really old.
Okay.
This is an old style. Haven't seen this too often. But against Marines alone, it's really, really powerful when they're in small numbers.
You need a bunker to be able to stop this.
Oh, this is
cool. But he doesn't know what he's playing against. He hasn't scouted, so...
Yeah. This is very cool. I really wasn't expecting the Marauder little proxy to come out here, but it's... I think the last time I saw this was probably at the very beginning of 2014. Very, very long time ago. Fully enough, when Beastyqt actually kind of vanished into nothingness.
So this is it. This is how he's going to put the eggs in the basket. He's got a factory behind this to follow up. We'll see where he goes with that. But 2 Marauding cluster shells. The SCV is going to give sight for the Marauders and take a bit of damage from the only 2 Marines, now 3rd. And he's going to have to pull SCVs, obviously.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The bunker's starting at the top. And it is actually for Beastyqt. So he's really kind of putting a timer on this, and the Marines are going to have to prioritize where they want to fire. The SCV should die pretty quickly, and he's actually doing a good job of focus firing down on the Marauder.
Bunker gives high ground vision as well, remember.
Yeah. SCV's having to buffer for all of this. Going to kill off that that bunker to make sure that this can't continue on too aggressively, but obviously with 3 Marauders there, it's a lot of power. Oh, even the scan, a big commitment there for Beastyqt.
Widowmine about to pop out. Supply block here, a big one. A big one for Bunny. Under pressure, lost the supply depot, and another one only just started. That only puts him back in the red. He needs another one. He has to cool down energy.
At the front as well.
But he does have a Widowmine now.
All right.
It's 4 Marauders. We have a tank and a starport back at home. Widowmines and Medivac probably going to be on the way.
And the thing is, Sean, has that done enough? Because he's not going to be able to break this location without another scan in about 20 seconds time on his command center
No,
here.
but he could go around to the back rocks potentially.
True.
He can wait to lift everything into the main base when this medivac's ready. Doesn't have to rush this. I mean, it's one base versus one base. There's no clear tech advantage for Bunny. So it's not like Bunny's getting any stronger in this game either. But Bunny is going to take a risk. Just leaves with everything.
Yeah, he didn't even see that. This is very, very tricky.
Yeah, he's left with everything. And Beastyqt is going to poke up anyway. There's a supply depot, the super extra heavy apartment building with a roof.
The super double apartment. This is, yeah, it's not good. He's going to lose a lot of SCVs for this. They could try and dive into the bunker. And actually, with the one Marine in the bunker is getting quite a bit of work done here.
On the other side of the map, though, Bunny's here.
He has nothing. He has a Widow Mine. Uh-oh. This could turn from bad to worse. The Marines are just going to try and chase this down, and if he lures them back to that Widow Mine...
He can pick up in the
medevac
too.
Oh no! Oh, okay. Well, actually, that did quite a bit of damage. He's killed off 10 workers so far. A lot of them are very low. The Marines also got the Viking. Gonna get the Widow Mine, and this is a disaster. GG. Bunny is able to take the series 3-0 there. After Beastyqt, you asked what he had to do, and that was his attempt.
Yeah, 2 excellent games from Bunny in game 1 and game 2, and Beastyqt just didn't know what to do. And game 3, he tried this. Unfortunately, Bunny was able to deflect it, even though he didn't even know it was happening until the Marauders were already up his ramp. He defends, he takes a big risk lifting everything away from his main base, but was able to hold on and make that wall possible to then deal the counter, which won the game. So Bunny 3-0 over Beastyqt, and I think anybody who looks at the results a little bit later is going to be like, yeah, expected. But you got to give credit to Beastyqt. He put up a fight, but he's just not on Bunny's level. Bunny is top in the European scene, top in the scene outside of Korea, and has a big year ahead of him. He makes it to Premier League for a 2nd season in a row here.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see Beastyqt, though, once again, next season round in Season 3, trying to compete into Challenger and try and do well there as well. But a little bit of a heartbreaker for him, as he did play some great games going on through. But Bunny, obviously, triumphant there. So, for now, that does it for our first series. Make sure to get involved in the conversation. Hashtag WCS on Twitter and join us there, as well as all the other social media networks. But for now, we're going to take a short break. And when we're back, we're going to have more WCS Challenger action here from ESL Studios.